Live from Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas, CSN Houston brings you Houston Astros baseball tonight. The Astros are back home. It's the first of 4 for them against the Baltimore Orioles here at Minute Maid Park. And good evening, everybody. Bill Brown, Alan Ashby, Julia Morales here with you for the first of this 4-game series. And Ash, the Astros performing very well with you and Julia and Jeff Blum presiding over a 6-4 road trip. That's their best record on a 10-game road trip since 2010.
Yeah, Brownie, the pressure is on you here this evening. Keep this winning thing going.
Well, what we're going to keep going is watching highlights of hot players, and that's what you guys did quite often on this road trip. This was fun for you.
Hot players tend to make hot teams, don't they? And this guy is some kind of player right now. He has figured something out. George Springer, 9 home runs. He leads the club. He leads in RBIs already, and he's done so much of the work here in the last few weeks, hitting home run after home run. George Springer in this span just carrying this club. This guy has helped a great deal, too. Jose Altuve has hit .397 during this time frame, .427 on-base percentage, and playing flawless defense at second until yesterday, finally in air. Jason Castro finally starting to get the bat going a bit, hitting over the 300 mark and getting a little help with some balls that drop for him, but you need that to get it rolling. Jason Castro starting to look like the all-star from a year ago, and then there's Dallas Keuchel. The pitching has been really good. Starting pitching in particular, Dallas Keuchel has led the way. He is the current player of the week in the American League, 4-1 here in the month of May.
Over the last 17 games, the Astros have won 11 of those, losing 6 with a .281 average, averaging 4.6 runs, Ash.
And again, it's about players coming through and performing. You see the .281 batting average. That is a far cry from where the ball club was some time back, especially coming out of April. The runs per game up about or above that 4.5 mark. You win a lot of ball games being able to score at that rate, especially when you're pitching well.
The Major League home run leader is here with the Baltimore Orioles. Nelson Cruz, formerly of the Texas Rangers, really bashing the ball as an Oriole this year.
19 bombs now. Hit a couple more, I believe, yesterday. But you see the 19 home runs, 48 RBIs. He is doing what Chris Davis did a year ago. Davis had 19 home runs the first 2 months of the season and then went on and hit 12 more in the month of June. Don't know if Cruz pulls that off, but he is carrying the load right now with Matt Wieters on the DL. It's an Orioles club that's a bit depleted, but not when Cruz is in the lineup.
Coming up next, we swing back to the Astros hitting with Julia Morales and hitting coach John Maley. Chris Carter is a feature next.
To face the Houston Astros, who are back at home after a very nice road trip. They beat the Royals 9-3 yesterday to complete the sweep there. Chris Carter back in the lineup and showing off some power in that game. 2 big home runs. He scored the final 4 runs for the Astros. And this is after 3 days where he did not play. He rode the bench and had to watch his team win all 3 games. Very tough, but he did some important things working with hitting coach John Maley in that time.
Well, we're continuously working on the swing path, and then he figured out something on his own, basically, that was helping him be shorter and quicker. And they gave him a couple days off just to isolate and work on that without worrying about results in the game, and I think that helps people sometimes when they don't have to worry about taking it in that night. Gave him a couple days off. He matched up good against that lefty that they threw, and he got 2 home runs.
So what are some of the stats that are concerning you about him, though, as far as maybe contact percentage?
Yeah, it's the swing rate in the strike zone, because he doesn't chase a lot out of the strike zone, and when he continuously, I say, when he struggles, he mishits pitches in the zone he should hit, and then he gets to get to a tougher count where he has to hit the pitcher secondary stuff more. So it's trying to get him on time on a pitch that's in the zone early in the count, and so he doesn't have to get to those 2 strike counts where it's tougher to hit.
If he heats up, how will this offense change?
How do you think? It's going to change dramatically. It's really going to help, and he's a force in the lineup, and he'll also take his walks too. And if you got guys around him that are hitting too, then they're going to have to pitch to him, and that's what's been the case yesterday.
Thanks, Mel. Coming up, Chris Carter and the Houston Astros taking on Baltimore in Game 1 of this 4-game series. Brad Peacock on the mound. We'll have the first pitch and lineups coming up next. In the box and try the new Jack's Blazin' Chicken Sandwich. It's Jack's hottest sandwich yet. And by your local Toyota dealer. Your chance to save on a Tundra ends Monday. Hurry to buyatoyota.com. Now let's head to the booth where Bill Brown and Alan Ashby have the call.
Thanks, Julia, and welcome home to you guys after that lengthy road trip. Now the Astros settle in for 4 games. At home in this series against Baltimore, and then 3 with the Angels. 7-game homestand with George Springer returning to the white uniform and right field wearing number 4. And the Astros ready to go now with Brad Peacock warming up to take on the Baltimore Orioles, who lost 2 of 3 in Milwaukee. Prior to coming in here, they are 26-25, and the Birds trail by 4.5 games in the AL East. The Astros, coming off that 6-4 road trip, will be facing this Baltimore starting lineup. And the card just handed in by Buck Showalter, their skipper. Begins with Nick Markakis, the right fielder. Steve Pearce is in left field with Adam Jones in center. The cleanup man is slugger Chris Davis at first base. It's Nelson Cruz leading the world in homers. He's DHing at batting 5th. J.J. Hardy's in the 6th spot, and he's the shortstop. With Manny Machado at third base, Ryan Flaherty at second, and Nick Hundley, the catcher, batting ninth.
On the mound for the Astros, Brad Peacock, 1-4, 5.20 the ERA. Those are the numbers, but the reality is he's throwing the ball much better than that of late, and he's got to cut down on the walks. Strikeouts say the stuff is good, and I would completely agree. Right-hand hitters having a tough time against Brad.
Brad, last time out, beating the White Sox with 6 2/3 innings of very good baseball, giving up 2 earned runs and an 8-2 win here on May 18th. Then skipping a turn in the rotation with forearm soreness. He threw bullpens in between, reported everything was fine. Right-handed hitters 0 for 10 against him last start. And now after the layoff, he throws ball 1 to Markakis. Nick having a fine year, checking in at 301. That includes 3 homers, 18 runs batted in for Markakis. And he smacks one up the middle into center field. A leadoff single for Nick Markakis.
Peacock simply came fastball, missing on the first one. That really sets the second one up to be a fat pitch for a good hitter like Nick Markakis.
He's aboard for Steve Pearce. Markakis with 3 steals in 5 attempts. Pearce has been quite helpful to the Birds with his .328 batting average, 4 homers, 11 runs batted in for Steve. And he homered off Scott Feldman in Baltimore back on the 9th of May. Had a couple of hits in 7 at-bats against the Astros in that series. They play him to pull on the infield. Fastball works, and it's strike 1. Peacock with 30 walks and 44 strikeouts in 45 innings. Facing Baltimore for the first time in his career. That's a fly ball, and it hits for shallow left field. Jonathan Villar looks at it. The left fielder comes in. Alex Presley with the catch. Take a look at the Astros. It's Dexter Fowler in center field. He's flanked by Presley and Springer with Matt Dominguez, Jonathan Villar, Jose Altuve, Chris Carter, Jason Castro, and Peacock on the infield. And a partly cloudy night here. It's been very warm throughout the day, extremely humid. Buck Showalter's Birds in town, and it's his 16th Major League season. 2-time American League Manager of the Year with the Yankees and with Texas. Could he do it a 3rd time with a 3rd different team? Adam Jones at .290 has 6 homers. He's driven in 29. That's in the air for Jones, and the shortstop Jonathan Villar moving over a little bit. That's a 1-pitch out, number 2 for Brad Peacock.
Brad Peacock would be well served to not over-evaluate those last 2 outs. Pitches up in the strike zone and maybe even out on the one on Jones, but that's not where he's going to succeed. And in recent games when Peacock has been good, he's kept it down around the knees.
Chris Davis, also nicknamed Crush Davis, based on his league-leading 53 homers and 138 runs batted in last year. Begins the night at 244. He's gone deep 7 times. He's driven in 25. He hit 3 homers in 1 game in Pittsburgh to lead Baltimore to a win this year. He has spent some time on the disabled list, and there's ball 1 to Davis. Davis went 2 for 4 in the series in Baltimore against the Astros. Currently 0 for his last 11. The Birds are 9th in runs scored in the American League. Altuve's out in right field for Davis. He looks at a strike. That evens the count at 1-1.
Everything up in the zone right now. Look at this curveball. That is, when hit, one that everybody will say, well, it's simply a hanger. That's what you do to hangers. Sometimes you get away with them.
Nelson Cruz is on deck. It's a ground ball foul, and it's a 1-ball, 2-strike count. The Orioles won 2 of 3 when the Astros were at Camden Yards earlier this month. And they were in first place after winning the first 2 of that series. The Astros captured the 3rd game. Since the 10th of May, the Birds have gone 6-11. While the Astros have headed the other way. They're 11-6 in their last 17. Now it's a 2-ball, 2-strike count. For the month of May, these 2 teams are pretty close. Baltimore is 14-13 this month. Houston is 13-13 this month. Reporters Club definitely on the upsurge after a 4-2 homestand followed by a 6-4 road trip. Curveball in the dirt. Nice block there by Castro. And it's 3-2. What Jason was saying tonight, Ash, around the batting cage, such a difference catching the Astros staff this year compared to a year ago in the number of strikes they throw.
I would also add the quality of strikes, and you can start with Dallas Keuchel. The way he works around the knees and on the corners, really competitive in that regard.
Markakis is going on a 3-2. There's a one-hopper to right field, and Altuve throws him out. Perfect positioning as Altuve makes the 4-3 play from right field. Orioles nothing. Astros coming up. Fowler, 5-game hitting streak, center. Jason Castro, catcher. Matt Dominguez, third. Chris Carter, first. Alex Presley, left. Robbie Grossman, DH. Jonathan VR, shortstop.
It's the big ooh on the mound for the Orioles tonight. Ubaldo Jimenez. This year the numbers are not pretty at all. 2-6 with a 4.98. This guy was highly sought after during the offseason. Last couple of starts, a loser. Goes at Kansas City and against Cleveland in Baltimore, and working only a total of 9 innings in those 2 starts.
9 innings pitched, 10 earned runs allowed in those 2. Jose Altuve digs a foothold, but against Houston, Jimenez has terrific career numbers. Got that unusual delivery, and there is strike one to Altuve, starting the night at 3-17. 2 homers, 17 runs batted in. And he's leading the league in hits with 73.
Don't know about you, Brownie, but that makes my shoulder ache a bit.
Oh, yeah. Looks like it would put a lot of strain on his shoulder. He is 30 years old. He's thrown a lot of innings. Altuve beats it into the ground. It goes to Machado at third, and that turns out to be a very close call. 1 out.
You best not hang on to the baseball when Jose Altuve puts the ball on the ground. I mean, he's been getting down the line so well, and he says he feels like he's running better this year. It's all in the, I guess, maybe reality perspective. Last year, a guy who stole well over 30 bases.
That's out number 1 for Ubaldo in his career, 4-0 against Houston with a 2.32 ERA. George Springer at 269 has 9 homers, 27 driven in. He has set a rookie club record for the Astros for home runs in 1 month with the 9, beating Glenn Davis's mark. There is strike 1. And what a 10-game romp this has been for him. Dials it back. It's 0-2. And Ashes, you guys did those games on the road trip. You saw George Springer ripping home runs, but also taking his walks.
Been on base steadily. The home run ball, though, has been enormous. He's been driving balls off the wall. Had a night in Kansas City, went 4 for 4, could easily in another ballpark have hit 3 home runs on that night. And just the best consistent swings you ever want to see.
Springer goes for that one, and he's down on strikes. 2 outs for Jimenez.
That swing and a miss has been rare for George Springer in recent games. This is one very funky delivery, and I'm sure that's one of the things that gets mentioned in the dugout among the hitters.
Ubaldo's from the Dominican Republic. Colorado signed him as a free agent in 2001, traded him to Cleveland in 2011. He signed as a free agent with Baltimore this year, February 19th. 4-year deal, longest ever given to an Orioles starting pitcher. Dexter Fowler looking at ball one. So 2 former Rockies squaring off here. And for Jimenez, who last year was 13-9 with Cleveland with a 3.30 ERA, the hopes are high that he will do some great things in Baltimore. That comes in for a strike, and it's 1-1. Fowler's put together a 5-game hitting streak. His on-base average .377.
If Jimenez and the other pitchers for the O's get the job done this year, this Baltimore club has a chance to go somewhere because they can swing the sticks.
They really can. And pitching has been the deficient area so far. Their starting pitchers are 17-19 with a 4.66 ERA. Overall, they're 13th in ERA in the American League. That's a strike to Fowler. That evens the count at 2-2. Jimenez quite capable of dialing up a gem. At Minnesota back on May 2nd, he pitched a shutout ball for 7 1/3, striking out 10. There's where the standings place the Orioles in 3rd place right now. The Astros are the only team they have played from the AL West. That's strike 3, and it's a 1-2-3 first for Jimenez, and no score after 1. By Miller Lite. Beautiful evening here in downtown Houston. After all the rain we've had, some 9 inches, I think, in some areas, Ash, while you guys were on the road. Now this gorgeous day has included a lot of sunshine, humidity, temperature probably in the mid-80s earlier today. It wouldn't be that high now, but have you been hearing the weather forecast since you got back?
Well, I hear there's a little more rain in the forecast for tomorrow.
Yes.
Hopefully it's not flooding type, and I wouldn't mind seeing rain 2-3 times a week throughout the summer.
Well, right here, it's a beautiful night to enjoy while we have it. And inning number 2 rolls around with the guy who's been making a lot of thunderous noises. And he made 2 with home runs last night in Milwaukee. Nelson Cruz, 19 homers, 48 runs batted in, leading the AL in both those in one of those departments, in the home run department. And also in slugging percentage at .663 and total bases. There's ball 1 to Cruz. And he showed again last night in Milwaukee. He can hit him out to any part of the ballpark. Peacock challenges him, and the fastball is hit in the air and back into the seats for strike 1. Let's take a look at 2 guys who are slugging their way through May.
Of course, we know about George Springer, the 9 home runs, so impressive, and that's been done primarily in the past couple of weeks plus. But boy, swinging all throughout the month. Nelson Cruz, 12 bombs on the month, driving in the same figure as George Springer. So that gives you an idea how good Springer has been here in May.
Good changeup down low, and strike 2 to Cruz.
That's a pitch that can go a long ways for Brad Peacock.
That is outstanding in every regard. The change of speeds, the location of it, arm action, sold it. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Cruz. Of course, Nelly's played many a game against the Houston Astros. And for his career, he's a .312 hitter with 13 bombs against Houston. Foul back, and it is a bargain price for Baltimore as Cruz signed a 1-year $8 million deal with them in February. So they picked up both Cruz, who's their offensive leader, and their starting pitcher tonight, Ubaldo Jimenez, in February signings. That changeup not as good for Brad, and the count goes full now to Cruz.
And yet I like that location a lot. If he can get that fastball down around the knees, then it sets up that very changeup.
That's a line shot. Altuve reached behind him to catch it.
I don't know if this shot hooked on Altuve, or sometimes guys will hit knuckleballs when they hit it like that flush. But Jose Altuve's not missing much of anything, nor is Nelson Cruz for that matter. That ball is just flat. I think they better check that thing.
And the shift put Altuve in a perfect position. Now J.J. Hardy. Strike 1 to Hardy, looking for his first homer. He has 13 runs batted in and a .303 average. Hardy is a good home run hitter among shortstops, but it's not happening for him this year yet. Goes for a high pitch, and that one will hang in left field. Presley going over toward the corner, and that ball is going to be back out of play for strike 2. No balls, 2 strikes. Getting to be close to twilight time. Hardy hit 25 homers last year for Baltimore. It's a long drought for him at the beginning of this season for home runs. This one again heads for foul territory. They get another souvenir to keep the count. No balls, 2 strikes.
Ballpark in Baltimore certainly favors the hitters, and if you can put it in the air and drive the ball at all, you've got a chance to hit a bunch of bombs there.
This one can be very favorable out there. Hardy's hit .340 in the month of May, though. Don't forget the homers. He's getting on base. Not this time. Strike 3 looking for strikeout to Peacock.
Much better curveball now as Brad starts to get it down around the knees. This one he gets a call at the bottom of the knees. There's the look you get a little bit from the pitcher, and bending that one nicely.
Manny Machado comes up next. Outstanding young player. One of the top talents in the game. And just 21 years old. A first-round pick in 2010. Here's ball 1 to Machado. Machado missed spring training this year. Makes it a little tougher after the knee surgery to get going in the season after missing that spring period. And he really has been fine, but the numbers not reflective of a whole lot of things happening for him with the bat so far. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And those following the Orioles basically saying right now he's back to what looks like 100%.
Well, he had a 15-game on-base streak that was snapped Tuesday at Milwaukee. And we don't hear a lot of concern about this fellow rounding into top form at the plate for them. Foul back, 1-2. Got a chance to chat briefly with Bud Norris before this game tonight. Bud pitched last night for Baltimore and Milwaukee, so he will not be working in this series, but very happy to be back in his stomping grounds. Strike 3. And it's a 1-2-3 second. Peacock looking strong. We go to the last of the second inning with no score.
Your photos using hashtag CSNHFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming broadcast. This is brought to you by AT&T. And a reminder for all Astros fans, if your Twitter account is set to private, make sure you set it to public so we can see your tweet. Want to see those tweets, Brownie?
Thanks, Julia. Yes, we do. They are settling back on this evening. Scoreless game after 1.5. Jason Castro ready to step up against Ubaldo Jimenez. Castro on a 4-game hitting streak. Has a .235 batting average. He's gone deep 6 times and he's driven in 25. It's inside and ball 1. He's been seeing a lot of inside stuff the last few weeks, Ash.
You know, he's so good at on the pitches out over the plate, driving it the other way. And sometimes now I think maybe getting conflicted a little bit, taking some pitches out over the plate. But I think generally speaking, you know he can handle that. And I think other teams realize that as well. So they're going to work in and until he shows that he starts yanking pitches to right.
In his last 12 games, he's hit .313. And they station Ryan Flaherty, the second baseman, in right field for him. He fouls it away and it's a 2-1 strike count. The Astros have won 5 in a row during their 5-game winning streak. They're averaging 6.8 runs per game, and their ERA is 1.40. Coming off their first 3-game series sweep of the year. That was at Kansas City. 2 balls, 2 strikes with Dominguez and Carter to follow in the Houston second inning.
Yeah, that was a long grinding road trip, and to come out 6-4 on the 10-gamer, I thought was very impressive for the club.
Back home where their record in this ballpark is 10-15. They begin the homestand tonight. And that is ball 3. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Jimenez has been dogged by a lack of run support. 2.5 runs per start being scored by Baltimore. This is start number 11 for him. And he has a leadoff walk. 14th walk for Castro this season. He's aboard for Matt Dominguez. Domingo takes a look down at Pat Listash in the third base coaching box before settling in with a .246 average. He's gone deep 7 times. He's driven in 22 runs.
He can be a very valuable guy in this order. He's big and strong. We know he can hit the long ball.
Strike one.
Coupled with that, the fine work at third base defensively. The one limitation, his speed.
One ball, one strike. The lowest run support belongs to Hector Santiago of the Angels. Ubaldo Jimenez has the second lowest run support in the American League. Brett Oberholzer third lowest. Chris Carter on deck. In the dirt. There's a good block by Hundley. 2 balls and strike. You mentioned earlier Matt Wieters on the disabled list, and that led to the acquisition of Nick Hundley in the trade for Troy Patton. Hundley coming from San Diego and doing quite a bit of catching after arriving on the scene.
I think that speaks to concern about Wieters and how soon he might get back and how healthy he might be when he does. He had been swinging the bat very well.
That does take a very productive bat out of the Orioles offense. Foul back. 2-2. Matt Dominguez and Chris Carter were talking at their lockers before the game tonight about hitting, and Matt said sometimes you go up there and you're thinking, well, I'm going to set for the fastball here, but what if he throws me a changeup?
Yeah, there you go. Therein lies exactly what goes through a hitter's mind. I'm going to get the fastball right here, or you know, whatever the pitch may be, and then you ask yourself at the last instant, what about the other?
Yeah. 3-2.
You think you're committed, but you're committed to not being committed a lot of the time.
Could be committed to a place where it might require a pass to get out of it, too.
Yeah, that kind of commitment also follows in some cases.
Now 3-2 the count. And that's smoked on the ground past a diving Flaherty into right center field. Castro will hold at second base on the sharp single by Dominguez.
Well, you get the leadoff walk. You try to make something happen with it, and Matt Dominguez complies in that regard. Stinging the ball right back up the middle. That's exactly what you want to do.
Derek Brock welcomes the customer. First and second, nobody out. And Flaherty was in a double play depth. Had he been back at normal depth, he probably would have been able to stop that one anyway. But now it's Chris Carter, and the Astros have done this. They put a lot of men on base during this last 3 weeks, and that does help the hitter. 200 batting average for Carter, 8 homers. He's driven in 21. Now Hundley will go out. There will be a long series of signs with Castro at second base now, and they may want a little refresher course on that.
Well, you're right, though. Getting on base has been one of the elements that was missing early on for the ball club, and now it's starting to be a much larger part of things. But along with it, the guys to drive those runs in, and they've been putting the runs on the board.
Carter certainly did that yesterday with the 2 bombs at Kansas City. There's ball 1 to Chris. 1 in the 5th, 1 in the 6th.
These are the 2 big swings. First one looked like a towering fly ball. Maybe wouldn't get out, much like the Springer home run early in the ball game. But the second one was legit. I mean, it got out in a hurry.
1 ball, 1 strike. Chris had sat out the 3 previous games to work on his swing.
There's that second one, and he got it. And it's well back there beyond the bullpen.
He said he was just working on eliminating some of the hand movement. Trying to simplify his swing a little bit. Strike makes it 1-2.
Now the reality about this game, though, is you may think you figure something out. It's usually short-lived. It's the guys that have the fundamentals that are set up and the abilities to go with them that can long-term drive the baseball in this game that have the success.
That's strike 3. That's a tough pitch.
And it doesn't hurt to have the umpire call that a ball either. That's tough, likely off the outside edge.
Yep.
Whether you're treating employees, hosting clients, or bringing out your church or youth sports team to Minute Maid Park, Astros Group tickets will create an experience your group is sure to remember. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com to enjoy special pricing and great benefits by reserving your group today.
That was strikeout number 3 for Jimenez. Now it's Alex Presley facing him. Presley looks at ball 1. Presley at 248. Has 3 homers. He's driven in 8. He had a nice road trip going 10 for 30 to raise his numbers to those.
Back-to-back 3-hit games in Kansas City.
Yeah. He's now starting the 7th time in the last 8 games. Robbie Grossman DHing and Presley in left field tonight. 1 ball, 1 strike. So it appeared when Grossman came up from AAA Oklahoma City, maybe Presley wouldn't be playing as much, but he's not going to be filed, especially after those back-to-back 3-hit games. Presley was not in the lineup yesterday, but he did play Monday and Tuesday nights with those productive outings in KC. Yesterday a day game. That's a good time to rest a lot of the guys who have been playing quite a bit.
Presley's one of those guys who doesn't take the big swing a lot of the time, just lays the barrel quickly to the baseball. He's done it extremely well.
That's in the dirt, and Hundley keeps it close. It's a 2-1 count. Castro scampering back to second. We'll be joined next inning by Bob Kendrick, who's the president of the Negro League Museum. Tomorrow night, the big civil rights game between these two teams, and they will be wearing a couple of uniforms worn by Negro League teams tomorrow night. That's ball 3, and it's 3-1 now to Presley. Castro worked the count to 3-2. Dominguez had a full count. Now Presley at 3-1.
Starkly different numbers offensively for this Astros club in April versus May. 210 to 269.
Boy. That's ball 4, and the bases are loaded with 1 out. And with that, Ash, we've seen more innings like this, more long innings, including some walks, some good hits with men in scoring position. The club couldn't have gotten any worse. We didn't think anyway, with runners in scoring position. Currently hitting .217 in those situations. Now 33 pitches for Jimenez.
The walks up considerably here in May, as you mentioned. Even the stolen bases are up, and that probably comes because of the extra base runners.
Now a big situation for Robbie Grossman. Bases loaded, 1 out. Robbie said he did not DH at AAA this year. Swing and a miss. The pitch gets away. Here's Hundley throwing to Jimenez, and the tag safe. Castro scores, and it's 1-0 Astros. Jimenez arguing that he tagged Castro, and that was not the call by Mike Machlinsky, the home plate umpire. And now Buck Showalter's going to come out. We might get a review on this one. We might get a challenge.
Yeah, I agree with Ubaldo Jimenez in that he knows that the slide came right into his glove. It's where was the glove, though? And in watching with the naked eye, I thought the glove was over the plate. Yeah, he does reach with the glove. By then, he's too late as he hits the knee of Castro.
That was close. And Castro went tumbling over the pitcher.
I don't think this is going to get reversed. I think that Machlinsky gets this call right.
But he was right on it. Castro wound up banging into his leg.
Oh boy, that is close.
Oh, is that close?
Well, I actually thought the tag hit the knee, but clearly it hits that lead foot of Castro.
This one's going to be reviewed.
What do you think as you watch this? Does the foot get down on the plate? That's going to be, from that view, I think unchangeable.
I agree. It looks as if the foot might be above the ground level,
yes,
but not enough evidence to make that call.
I'm with you all the way.
Now the crowd is seeing that replay up on the big board we call El Grande, as the officials in New York review it.
I couldn't tell what the reaction from the fans said, though. Did they feel like, oh, clearly we got this one? As that tag comes down on the foot, watching up on the big board, it looks like Castro's tapping his foot down toward the plate at the time when the tag is thoroughly applied.
Well, that was a pretty good job, though, by Hundley and Jimenez.
Yes.
Just a scrambling situation there for a catcher and a pitcher, and they, at the very minimum, made it close.
I think if this gets changed, the umpires will have seen something that we didn't see.
Right. And they do have different angles.
Yeah. That one really comes down to, is the foot of Castro on the plate or is it above the plate?
I think you might be better just deferring to the official on the field on a play like that. He has a better view than that replay there.
You mean the guy that almost got his leg snapped right there?
Yeah, Mike Maslinski.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough to reverse that one.
Yeah, is there clear and compelling evidence? We didn't see it. There might be from a different angle. Only really made that feed on target there to Jimenez.
I'll tell you what, Maslinski with Jason Castro coming down on that leg. Well, almost saw a little Joe Theismann action.
Ooh. Last night, the Orioles in Milwaukee, and they had a replay. It was not contested by a manager, but the video systems were down in both clubhouses. So they used the replay system in New York just to make a call. And it was not challenged by a manager because they didn't have the systems to look at in the ballpark there.
Well, this is taking quite a while, and to me that probably says, I hope that they're grinding away trying to see exactly what happened, but if it takes that long, then it's unconvincing.
That's a really good angle there.
Yeah, that is, and it looks on that angle like the foot gets down on the plate.
Yes, it did.
We have varying opinions here in the booth, though. Watch the foot. Is there really a tag? See, at that point, the foot's down, and I think that's when the tag gets applied. Maybe we'll check in again tomorrow and see how this turned out.
This is a long review.
Is there a particular lengthy review that you've heard about this year?
Yeah, there were a couple. And what happens, as you well know, is that the officials might be making a review in a different game. Each umpire has a couple of games to watch, so he might be doing another game at the same time as this game. So he may have been making a call elsewhere and then had to get some help to make this call. And we've been told that help is available in those situations. But still, it's a diversion, attention diverting type situation.
And with that being the case, Jimenez is getting in some warm-up tosses, just trying to stay ready to go.
Yeah, that's important, and we've seen pitchers not do that and then give up a bomb to the next batter.
Well, I think a decision has been made. Let's find out what it is.
Safe is the call. It's been upheld. And Castro scores to make it 1-0 Astros. The call is confirmed. Certainly a legitimate challenge there by Buck Showalter.
No doubt. And I think had the call gone the other way and Bo Porter challenged, it still would have been unreversible.
Yeah. So on the wild pitch, Castro scores. Dominguez moves up to third and Presley to second. And it was strike one because Grossman swung at the pitch. So now Jimenez wiping off his hand as George Springer does some cross-country skiing in the dugout.
Yes, and I realize it was irreversible, but George Springer doesn't care.
The time for that challenge, Ash, was 4 minutes 25 seconds.
A little lengthy.
Little roller, and the runners hold. Here's the throw to first base. Whoa. Presley almost ran up the back of Dominguez. He was halfway to third base, and Dominguez wasn't coming home, so it's out number 2 as Presley got back to second.
You know what this play was? A good example of how athletic Manny Machado is at third base. Look at him. He thinks he's coming home and now reverses and does it easily. That's not that easy.
Boy, that was a heads-up play looking at that runner, because the runner is taught to be right behind the third baseman so that he can cheat toward the plate, and then once that throw takes off to first, he takes off for home. But Machado wasn't going to let him do that. Now Jonathan Villar. Villar trying to snap an 0 for 21. And what a big 2-out hit here could do for him. There's strike 1. Well, Villar's batting average has been dragged down to .201. 5 homers, 16 runs batted in by this 0 for 21 slump. He's hitting .178 left-handed. Ground ball, and that rolls to Flaherty's right. Flaherty with the throw gets him. And the Astros settle for 1 run on 1 hit. They leave 2, and they're in front 1-0 after 2.
Third, MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is celebrating 12 years. Join the millions of subscribers. Watch every out-of-market game live in True HD on over 400 devices. Visit Astros.com for more details. Brownie, you have my buddy up there, Bob Kendrick.
Buddy Bob Kendrick, from that shot, you remember your time with him at the Negro League Museum in Kansas City. He's the president of that organization and in town for a number of reasons, including the Civil Rights game tomorrow night. Nice to meet you, Bob.
Well, it's great to be here. Thank you guys so much for having me.
It's a pleasure just to see the suit and tie.
They told me I needed to look good to come into the booth with you guys.
Well, you got it covered. You got it covered. You're
pulled
putting
it
us
off.
to shame, yeah. Here's Flaherty now, and first pitch goes in the air to right center field, and Springer goes over to the edge of the warning track. Oh, Fowler's there as well. Fowler caught it. And that is a long out, #1. Just a pleasure to have you in town. And tomorrow night's game, a very big one, symbolic. But tell us also about what you have to offer at the Negro League Museum for folks who come to Kansas City, Bob.
Well, it's just a wonderful piece of not only baseball history, but American history. And it's really a forgotten chapter of American history. And I think that's what surprises most of our visitors, because I think now the work that we've done almost 25 years in the making, people are starting to accept that there were some pretty good baseball players that played in this league known as the Negro Leagues. And so you're going to come there, and you're not going to be disappointed. You're going to meet some of the greatest baseball players to ever put on a baseball uniform. But by the time you walk out of there, you walk away with what I believe to be an even greater appreciation for just how great this country really is.
Yeah, good point. There's a strike to Hundley, 0-2 the count. We saw the big luncheon coming up tomorrow, the awards luncheon, the Beacon Awards. Dr. Maya Angelou, of course, will be unfortunately just passed away, so unable to accept that award in person, but her legacy will live on for so many for such a long time, and just a great figure. And you know, it's only appropriate that she will, in absentia, be honored.
Well, you know, one of my fondest memories, she had been to the museum on 2 different occasions. And on her first occasion, she came and she saw what we call the Field of Legends, where the statues are mock baseball diamond houses, 10 of 12 life-size bronze sculptures of Negro League greats who were recognized because they're the first group of Negro Leaguers to be inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame. She was so awe-inspired by that she just asked for a stool and wanted to sit on the outside of the chicken wire looking in to the Field of Legends, and she sat there for about 20 minutes not saying a word. And the thing that saddens me is that I always wanted her to write something about the Negro Leagues.
Oh, well, she wrote so many great things, and our time is all too brief, but thanks for being with us tonight, Bob.
Well, guys, thanks for having me.
Enjoyed it. Thanks.
Absolutely.
And this Saturday, May 31st, 10,000 fans will receive an orange Jose Altuve jersey, courtesy of Houston Methodist. First pitch against the Orioles is at 3:10. But make sure to get there early to get your Altuve jersey. For tickets, call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com.
An Altuve jersey might come with flames on it, the way he's been playing here in the month of May. He's hitting .360 in May. And we thank Bob Kendrick for an all too brief visit there in the top of the inning, but we're gaining more on awareness for that Negro League Museum, Kansas City, from Julia's reports and from Bob's visit. Altuve grounded out first time up, and now he takes strike one. Jimenez gave up the run on a wild pitch when the bases were loaded in the second inning. It's a bouncer, diving Machado past him up the left field line. Altuve heads for second base. There's a double, his 17th of the year. Hit number 74 for the American League hit leader.
So you think you might know how to play Jose Altuve defensively? Yeah. I think you're just going to get crossed up time and time again. A lot of people think he doesn't pull the ball all that much. Well, he'll pull one down the line. He'll shoot it down the right field line just as likely. Use the whole field up the middle. And he's just a pure hitter right now.
Question for you, Ash. Altuve at second, Springer at the plate. Do you want Springer to concentrate on hitting the ball to the right side as hot as he has been?
No. No, and he's really good. He's got great power going to right field. If it happens, it happens on a pitch away. But I want the guy that's swinging it like George Springer, trying to drive in runs.
And strike one.
Looked like maybe a tardy swing right there. So I don't know if he was possibly thinking about driving the ball to right field.
I have to agree with what you said, though, as far as not wasting what he could contribute to this situation.
Yeah, there are guys in the order that clearly I want them trying to shoot that way, but George Springer's not that guy. He's the more he understands that he's in the lineup to drive in runs, the better the scenario for your club is.
No doubt. Sometimes a player has to realize who he is by defining who he is not.
I don't know that there's any confusion in the mind of George Springer. I think he gets who he is.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. 2 balls and a strike.
Yeah, I was, and you can see the rookie home runs in a 6-game span. I was thinking about the tweet by Max Stassi, his teammate at AAA, about imagine that 5 home runs in 4 games for George Springer, and then I think it was hashtagged sarcasm, something like that. But they've seen it. They all know. And obviously George Springer has been kind of wearing it throughout his life. It isn't changing now that he's come to the big leagues. He's not a guy that has to blend in. He needs to continue to be that big time player.
It's a beautiful night out there, Ash.
Gorgeous stuff. Is there more rain on the way?
There might be if Springer hits him the way he has been hitting him.
See those clouds.
That's out to center field. Adam Jones comes in for it. 1 out.
And there's the obvious reality in this game of baseball that you're going to have your ups and downs. You're going to be in grooves and ruts. But we have now seen what George Springer is capable of doing at the big leagues.
Now Dexter Fowler's the batter. Fowler struck out looking in the first inning. Fowler's fitting right well into the number 3 spot in this lineup. About 376 on base average. These top 3 guys have really been clicking. Altuve, Springer, and Fowler. Since Bo Porter went to that lineup. That's strike 1. Jason Castro on deck. The Astros have played 26 games in May. In 15 of those 26 games, they've reached double figures in hits. That's a strike, and it's 0-2. That's in tight for a ball. It's a 1-ball, 2-strike count.
Through tax day to start the season, the Astros as a club did not have double digits in hits. So from that point on, they picked it up considerably, especially here in May.
Did the IRS have anything to do with that?
They may very well have. There may have been some concerns leading up.
The smash Davis with a good play on a short hop. 2 outs. Altuve to third.
So there's Crash Davis, there's Crush Davis, and I think I just heard Smash Davis.
Good first baseman, though, isn't he?
Tell you what, you combine what he did with the bat last year, and what a phenomenal player. Big fella.
Now Jason Castro, who drew the walk leading off the second, scored the run on a wild pitch, will try to be the RBI man here. 258 lifetime average against the Birds. Jason takes a look at ball 1 with Matt Dominguez on deck. And Jimenez's career, he's won 84 and lost 81 with a 3.97 ERA. Back in 2010 with Colorado, he was 19-8 with a 2.88. Inside there for ball 2. Been a good strikeout pitcher over the course of his career as well. He shut out the Twins in Minnesota for 7 1/3 innings in a 3-0 win. Got a no decision against Detroit with 7 shutout frames. It's out to center field. Adam Jones moving over for it. To end the Astros' third, leadoff double, but no runs a hit, and a man stranded at third. 1-0 Houston.
American League Rookie of the Year race probably got a lot more interesting, especially with the way George Springer is playing. But if you think about it right now, Masahiro Tanaka of the Yankees and Jose Abreu of the White Sox probably lead the race. But with the tear that Springer's on, it's probably going to make it a lot more interesting. Right now it's 9 home runs, which is more than Miguel Cabrera. So for our Twitter question, we decided to ask, where do you think Springer will finish in the American League Rookie of the Year conversation when the year finishes up? Tweet me at HoChenCSN and tell me why, because I'm reading the very best tweets on TV. And don't forget to check out In-Game Live at csnhouston.com. You can vote for your player of the game, and the winner, your choice, is shown on TV during post-game. Guys, over to you.
Thanks, Howard. George Springer in right field. Brad Peacock on the mound. The Astros leading 1-0 after 3. And it's former Astro Steve Pearce leading it off here in the 4th inning. He hit a fly ball to left in the 1st. Brad Peacock opened the season in the bullpen for the Astros. Curveball there is ball 1. His first start was at Oakland on the 20th of April. This is start number 7 of the year for Brad. It's a lash toward the left field corner, and Pearce has extra bases. That ball bangs off the wall. Presley coming over. Pearce with the leadoff double. Hit number 2 for the Orioles. 5th double for Steve Pearce.
Steve Pearce has shown some home run power for the Orioles this year, too. He just rakes this one down the left field side.
He's making the most of his playing time. He came into this game with a .578 slugging percentage.
Had some impact home runs just before the Astros came into Baltimore.
Now Adam Jones, who popped short, is the batter. Jones last year hit 33 homers and drove in 108 runs. He was a first-round pick of Seattle in 03, traded to Baltimore in a multiplayer deal involving Eric Bedard before the 08 season. And the curveball is tap foul. There's strike 1 to Adam Jones. He had a big home run off Josh Side in Baltimore against the Astros on the 10th of May to break an 8th inning tie.
Yeah, he has clearly been one of the game's, certainly the American League's, outstanding center fielders in recent years.
Beautiful sky out there in the distance. Some pink in those clouds.
Nice to see the cranes at work downtown.
Cranes at work every day downtown.
Well, yes, that's true. Having spent some time up in Toronto, those were part of the landscape everywhere, and what it meant was a booming city.
Well, there's a big development right across Crawford Street from this ballpark, and those cranes are busily at work on that development.
We'll see more and more of that.
Oh, this city is just tons of construction right now. Fastball was crisp, but in tight apparently, and it's a 1-ball 2-strike count on Jones.
Try to find those edges, and you just paint as close as you can.
28 strikes and only 10 balls so far for Peacock. Jones was tied up by that one and fouled it away. Jones with the power production last year, great numbers, but he walked only 25 times, and this Baltimore team as a whole is not walking very much this year. 12th in the league in on-base average.
It's really the same story for Jones this year. He only has 5 free passes, and it leads to an on-base percentage at .308 despite the .290 batting average.
Curveball tapped to shortstop. VR with the play. Round number 1.
Key out when you get that first one without the runner moving to third.
Yeah, and both teams have done it here. The Astros had the Altuve leadoff double, and he didn't advance until the second out of the inning to third base. Now Davis was on paternity leave until a couple of days ago. And his wife welcoming a baby daughter into the world, their first child. Davis worked the count full and grounded out to Altuve in right field. And he laced it to right field. That's got to be frustrating for a guy with all these shifts now, Ash, to hit the ball that hard and only be thrown out.
He had one of those swings that I could have seen that ball going 500 feet.
He just covers the plate so well.
Well, what we saw last year with the 53 bombs was an ability to hit home runs to center, left center field, just driving balls way out of ballparks. As you can see, he's a big, strong fella.
Listed at 6'4" and 235. 28 years old, so theoretically in his prime right now. Fouls that one back, and it's 0-2. He struck out 199 times last year. That's the other part of the power package that most hitters will have to bear, but gladly so with those 53 homers.
He struck out a little over a quarter of the time this year, so he's going to pick up his strikeouts, no doubt.
He's a native Texan from Longview and the University of Texas, Navarro Junior College as well. Davis coming back close to home. That's about as far out into right field as Altuve has been stationed on anybody.
He has to wear an outfielder's glove if he goes any further.
That's tap foul. Now the danger in this kind of a shift would be that little dribbler between first and second.
Well, you've also seen the ground ball that goes directly to where a second baseman would normally play, and that winds up not being covered. You just simply can't cover the entire field. But it sure paid off with that hot shot Davis hit back in the first inning.
Like Peacock stumbled a little bit as he threw that pitch. 1-2.
He's had a number of pitches tonight, again, that have been a little higher in or even out of the strike zone than we've seen at times when he's been really successful.
Maybe not, but his balance just didn't look the same.
You know, he does come close with that left foot to having those cleats maybe get a chance to lock up in the dirt.
Now back by Davis, who's putting up a pretty good battle here. Davis drafted by the Rangers in the 5th round in 06. Like so many players, had a degree of success, but was not able to break through and claim that everyday job, although he hit 21 homers in 391 at bats in 09. But then he moved along to Baltimore along with Tommy Hunter in the Koji Harrick trade, and then he really exploded as a Bird. 33 homers in 2012, 53 more last year. He fights that one off. He is really battling here.
You know, he didn't sign with the Yankees, who drafted him back in 2004. He was a 50th round pick. That's hard to imagine how that could have been the case, but can you imagine this swing through the years at Yankee Stadium?
Oh my goodness. That would have been the house that Chris built.
Yeah.
Upstairs, ball 2, and it's 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Big time battle going on.
Yeah. Toronto leads the AL East by 3 over the Yankees and 4.5 over Baltimore currently. Toronto club. That's strike 3, and Peacock wins the battle. That's his 4th punch out.
Looked like he turned to the changeup, and it had been everything but leading up to this pitch. See the grip? There's your changeup, and now throw it hard and trust it, and he gets the call at the bottom of the knees. Chris Davis didn't like it.
4 strikeouts. They've all been called. And now here's Cruz. Cruz hit a missile that was caught by Altuve after working the count full. When we talk about home runs that are hard hit, there are some outs that have been hard hit in this game. Good pick up by Castro, ball 1. Jason goes out to talk to Brad Peacock. By the way, we got a note from Julia that Jason's wife Maris is here tonight. And the Castros visited Scroggins Elementary School today. They have a foundation. They give away books to kids. They have 500 students, parents, and teachers at the game tonight.
Good for the Castros. That's great work in the community.
Ground ball through the shift and on into right field for a hit, and here's the tying run coming to the plate. Springer with the throw, not in time. It's 1-1. As Cruz just goes the other way. They were shifted playing him to pull, and he hit it through that vacancy into right for RBI number 49 to tie the game.
Yeah, I will go on with my contention that if you're going to put the shift on, you can't pitch away. But the Astros pitch away, and that's the only thing left to Cruz to do is to hit it that way. Look at the good work by George Springer as he charges hard, brings the throw into the infield where it can be cut. And it leaves the appearance of that possibility of the cut, and that keeps Cruz at first base. That's just excellent work.
Now it's a 1-1 game, and it's J.J. Hardy batting. Peacock delivers their strike 1. Well, it's a 6-man rotation for the Astros right now. Bull Porter was asked about that before the game tonight in his media session, and he said we'll go with 6 this one more time through. There's a day off coming on Monday, and then we'll move back to a 5-man.
That means guys are being evaluated, which is always going on anyway. But yeah, that's the list. And right at the moment, you'd be really hard pressed to say, okay, this guy doesn't deserve to be in this rotation.
Right. There's a tough decision coming up. Hardy swings at the curve and strikes out. That's number 5. 1 run, 2 hits, and a man left. It's scores on a 2-out single by Cruz to make it 1-1. Rethink Possible, and by 22 Jump Street in theaters June 13th. That is the Hall of Fame plaque of Hank Aaron. 75th anniversary of the National Baseball Hall of Fame this year. And well, there's going to be great ceremonies tomorrow, that luncheon, and then the Civil Rights game here tomorrow night. Gets dark out there in the distance, and it's a 1-1 game with Matt Dominguez leading it off in the home fourth inning. Domingo single to right center in the second inning.
You can have your own argument for who is the greatest player ever to play this game. Hank Aaron has to be in that discussion.
Oh, he has to be. Strike one. Who else would you nominate for your top five?
Oh, goodness. You know, Willie Mays' name is always going to come up. I think Babe Ruth has to be in that top five.
Has to.
Those are probably the three automatics for me. You're going to hear about Mickey Mantle and Joe DiMaggio and Roberto Clemente, and I don't know, just if you start separating into hitters, Ted Williams gets the discussion. And I don't know, who do you have on that list?
I have a controversial question for you.
Okay.
Where does Barry Bonds rank?
Well, you know what? He was a great player before questions surfaced on his use of assistance. And had he never fallen into that category, I think you would have discussed Barry Bonds. But I think as it stands, you just can't.
Do you regard Hank Aaron as the all-time leading home run hitter?
Absolutely.
I have to agree with you. Strikeout on a foul tip, that's number 4.
Yeah, for me, there's no way around that one. Pete Rose messed up one day, and he's not in the Hall of Fame. And some other people messed up, and they're paying the price.
Now here's Carter. Chris struck out looking in the second inning, and it was a questionable call on a 1-2 pitch. That's another tough call. Boy, this is one of those nights. Those two pitches, the last one he saw in the second inning, and this one.
Yep.
Wow.
And that look from Carter probably says everything. If you're going to give him that pitch, I'll just go sit down now.
Ball, and he recognizes that it's a 2-ball 1-strike count.
Yeah, he laid off the pitch that all the talk has been about that he needs to lay off.
Yeah. And that's a big part of hitting.
A lot of that talk this spring. Well, I'm going to lay off of this pitch. Well, that's a nice strategy, but you have to have the mechanics to go along with it to make it work. And right now, it is certainly yesterday in Kansas City, the mechanics were there for Chris. Can he repeat those?
Now it's 3-2. Jimenez at 61 pitches for the night. He's grounded behind third. Machado with the long throw. Bounces it and safe at first. Davis unable to hold a one-hop throw.
You know, if your intention is to bounce this throw, and a lot of third basemen through the years have intentionally bounced it, you want to do it with the long hop. Give your first baseman a fighting chance. This one was right in that gray area that makes life awfully tough on a first baseman. I'm not sure that's what Manny Machado tried to do, though. Credit Carter. He really digs down the line, and he makes it relatively close now when he gets there. Manny Machado's got plenty of arm to make that play.
It's an error on Machado. His 6th of the year. And there's ball 1 to Alex Presley. He worked a walk in the second. The Mets lead the Phillies 4-1 at Philadelphia. They're in the top of the 8th. Chris Young of Houston hit his 4th home run. Marlon Byrd, number 7 for the Phils. Blue Jays lead the Royals 6-5 in the top of the 7th at Toronto. And Encarnacion's hit 2 more.
Wow.
2-0.
Big boys are starting to swing the big bats. We've talked about Nelson Cruz. Edwin Encarnacion has gotten insanely hot.
Edwin now has 18 homers, 1 behind Nelson Cruz. And Jose Bautista also went off. That's his 13th. Well, that Toronto club is just blowing up.
Leading the league by a landslide in home runs now. Started the day at 76. The closest pursuer, Oakland, at 59.
Now 3-0 to Presley. And what's really helped John Gibbons is being able to move his third baseman over to second from time to time.
Brett Lawrie started in the minor leagues with Milwaukee as a second baseman. He looks like a third baseman.
Yeah, he's outstanding at third. There's a walk to Presley, his 2nd of the night. And that's number 3 of the night for Jimenez. So after the error, a walk, and now Grossman bats.
If Alex Presley continues to get on base the way he has in recent games, he's going to be tough to take out of this lineup in any form.
You know, some pleasant problems could be cropping up here for Will Porter.
Yeah, exactly. We just showed the 6 starting pitchers, and all deserving at the moment. Same story starting to build for the lineup.
Grossman grounded to third in the 2nd inning. Bobby went to Cy-Fair High School in Houston. There's strike 1 to him. That Blue Jay club's going to be fun to watch in the AL East now. See if they can hang on to the lead. Fly ball will not be that deep. The left fielder Pierce waiting for it. He has the catch. 2 down.
Yeah, but Brownie, don't you win on pitching? Isn't it 90% pitching, people say? In reality, it's about scoring more than the opposition. And if it comes from your offense, so be it.
Well, I think it was Bill James who said, well, no, it's about 50%.
Exactly. Yeah. Who scores more than the others? It's the Oakland A's right now that are dominating the league in terms of run differential, and it shows in the record.
Now 2 outs, and it's Jonathan Villar. Boy, this would be a great time for him to break out of this 0 for 22. He grounded out with runners at 2nd and 3rd in the 2nd inning and 2 outs. That's strike 1 to him.
You know what Jonathan did so well last year, batting from this left side, is sting the ball the other way. And this year he's gotten himself caught pulling off pitches as if he were trying to pull. I'm not sure that that's the ploy, but that's what it looks like. And there's a version.
Now he's behind 0-2, and this season he is 1 for 12 with 2 outs and men in scoring position now. Jose Altuve's on deck in this 1-1 game. It's 1-2 tomorrow night. It's game 2 of this 4-game series at 7:10. Brett Overholtzer going for the Astros against Miguel Gonzalez for Baltimore.
That last pitch was about as perfect as Jimenez could be with a couple of strikes. Just out of the strike zone.
VR waves at it and strikes out. That's number 5. No runs, no hits, an error, and 2 men stranded through 4. It's 1-1.
Fan photo of the game. Let's see who it is today. At DTEX, maybe? DC. Picture of Springer with a tongue out. That's good stuff in the rainbows. Remember to tweet your photos to hashtag CSNH, fan photo for a chance to have it shown on an upcoming broadcast. Guys, Brad Peacock goes back to work here. And, of course, he missed that last start. You talked about it earlier. Excuse me, but what he really wanted to do today in the bullpen as he warmed up was get his command down. He had 2 bullpens where he was pain-free, felt good, but they were a little wild. The command was not there, and that's something he struggled with all season. But really wanted to focus on it in the bullpen before getting out on the mound. I think he's looking okay. What do you think?
Good ratio of strikes to balls so far, 41-13. So, yeah, he looks fine. 1 ball, 1 strike. What do you think, Ash?
Quality of strike is key to me. I would just say the quality of the strike tonight hasn't been as good as the best of Brad Peacock this year, and yet good enough to sail along through 4 innings.
Wanted over the screen by Machado.
I want to get back to that photo of George Springer with the tongue out. That's Michael Jordan days, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Maybe that's what the secret is. I've got to go back and try that.
So would you rather have that ratio of strikes to balls, 42-14, with some that are catching a lot of the plate? That's a roller going foul. Or not so good a ratio and more corners hit?
Well, if the ratio is not real good, it probably means that you're wild. And then when you hit the corners, do you get the calls? I mean, you could look at it all over the place. What it comes down to me is results, and the results have been good for Brad tonight. I'm just dissecting a little bit because I've seen Peacock at his best this year, or what I assume is his best, and it's been really good. He's driven the ball down around the knees, and I've made a comparison with this guy in the past. I don't know if it's fair. Tom Seaver reminds me physically. It's kind of a nice comparison. Tom Seaver would drive that heat and everything down at the knees so well, and I've seen Peacock do it, so it's kind of what I look for.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Art Howe made the remark the other day. We were waiting for you guys to go on the air, Ash. And he talked about Tom Seaver, Nolan Ryan, and the lack of drop and drive pitches in today's game, like those guys were.
Tom Seaver was the classic drop and drive, that right knee coming close to or sometimes hitting the ground. And you don't really see that with Peacock. It's more of a physical thing on the mound that makes me think Tom Seaver, although the delivery is a little bit similar.
That was a great result.
See, when he rides it down around the knees, it flattens out. It's a just excellent look.
Got Machado to fish for it. And now that strikeout number 6 for him. Flaherty the batter. Flaherty hit the first pitch to center field in the 3rd inning. That's the one Fowler brushed up against Springer on. And showing bunt. He takes ball 1. Peacock now, in 3 of his last 4 starts, has gone 6 innings or more and has not given up more than 3 earned runs.
Yeah, I want to go back on Peacock because I don't want to sound critical at all. I'm not trying to be that. I'm just trying to tell you I've seen really good from Peacock, and I think that's a compliment how good he can be. Brad Peacock is also a guy who has very good stuff, and I think the 6 strikeouts already attest to that.
1 and 2 on the foul ball to get that fastball into the hands of Flaherty that time. Yeah, he has really shown the ability to lock in for longer periods this year. He did that for a while last year too.
You look at the overall numbers on Peacock and you might say, well, why is this guy even vying for a spot in the rotation? It's because his stuff is really good, and when he's on, it's exceptional.
And he gets strikeout number 7.
And I think his command is getting sharper and sharper as he goes on this evening. Oh, that's a good breaking ball. That's a strikeout pitch.
Now Hundley struck out looking in the 3rd inning. There's ball 1. Nick Hundley. Nick is 30 years old. He's from Corvallis, Oregon, and went to high school in El Paso and was the valedictorian of his class. Then the University of Arizona. 2nd round pick in 05 by the Padres. If you're a catcher, Ash, who's been around for a while, you get traded in May. How difficult is it to learn a brand new staff on the fly like that?
I don't think it's all that difficult. And in today's world of televised games all the time, I think a lot of these players are seeing the others and kind of know already. But you need to bear down and get with those pitchers, catch your bullpens with them. I think that's where you learn a guy. And you also learn what his pluses and his struggles might be. And so it enables you to really try to help him with the struggles.
Fishes for that one.
You don't get it done by just going out and catching however many innings during a game a guy might pitch. A lot of work that goes on in the batting practice time. Other guys are getting the kind of work in that leads to a nice comfortable night, feeling good with the bat. Catchers a lot of times are grinding elsewhere, trying to help the pitching staff and help themselves to know that pitching staff.
Full count now for Peacock.
Spring training is so much about spending that time with the gear on and just catching. I remember sometimes actually taking batting practice with the gear on because you had to run right back.
Little looper over shortstop, and that's a single with 2 outs. Hundley was able to get back into the count and put his bat on one for hit number 4 for Baltimore. Is that fun, hitting with the shin guards on?
Not a bit, although you never do foul one off that hurts. So in that regard, it wasn't bad.
Would you try to foul it off your chest protector if you were wearing that when you were hitting?
know what? I didn't have that same line of reasoning that you apparently have.
Nick Markakis is 1 for 2. VR up the middle. But Markakis has a lot of opposite field hits this year. He's among the top 5 in the American League in opposite field hits.
He's shown more power in the past than he is right now, but this guy's a good hitter. Good right fielder as well. Little known among lesser baseball fans, I would say. A guy who's played well for a long time.
You're right. It's a good point. He's fundamentally sound. He was a first-round pick in 03, 7th player drafted. Not a guy who's hit a lot of home runs in his career, but has not made an error in 228 games either. He has 24 opposite field hits this year. Line drive, and that's foul. On the pull side, it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count.
You know, that outfielder that doesn't commit errors sometimes can be deceiving for me. I like the outfielder that charges balls, keeps guys from moving extra bases, hits the cutoff man. But Nick Markakis is all of that, so he goes on without making errors while being an aggressive outfielder.
It's an excellent point. Most managers, pitchers would say, give me the guy who makes a few errors. If he has more range and a good arm, I'll take him.
Talk to third base coaches about guys that stop them from sending to home or bringing first to third. It's that outfielder that charges hard and that gets rid of the ball quickly and hits the cutoff man.
And tight for ball 2.
You get some guys that through the years have had great throwing arms, but they're slow getting to the ball, long in cutting the ball loose, and a third base coach just sends.
That's a looper, and that might be a hit. Fowler coming in. Fowler just gobbles up the ground. Not even close to a hit. It's out number 3. No runs a hit and a man left, and it's 1-1.
Presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. That's when the Corpus Christi Hooks take on the San Antonio Missions in a Texas League regular season game. Get your tickets at 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com.
The Hooks have been doing a nice job this year, and of course they run the franchise so well, but on the field they're 27-25. They did lose 2-0 last night at Whataburger Field. But Delino DeShields got another hit, and he has a 9-game hitting streak. It's 1-1 here as Jose Altuve bats, bottom of the 5th inning. He has one of the 2 Houston hits. That was a leadoff double in the 3rd. He was stranded at third base then when Jimenez got tough, got the next 3. That's ball 1. Jimenez making his 9th career start against the Astros. He has terrific numbers against them. That's in for a strike, and it's 1-1. 4-0 with a 2.32 ERA. The first time through the order, opponents are hitting .238 against Ubaldo. Second time, .229. After that, .375. He is now beginning his 3rd trip through the lineup. That's up the right field line, slicing and going into the seats. But he's only at 75 pitches for the night. So this is probably not his typical game to be starting the 3rd pass through the order with that number of pitches.
Well, he's just allowed the 2 hits, 3 walks on the night. 3 walks and 5 strikeouts generally will get that pitch count pretty deep.
2 balls, 2 strikes. He had a 1-2-3 first. That's his only 1-2-3 inning. He is a very important guy in the scheme of things for this Baltimore club. That's knocked off his glove and over toward Machado at third. Machado barehanding, throws it away. The ball stays close though to Davis, and Altuve reaches. It's a single for Altuve, hit number 75 of the season.
He's something, and when there's a tough play in the infield, he's going to beat it. I mean, that's just been what he's done. Some might say this is a foolish play by Manny Machado. I might be on that list. However, he makes so many amazing plays. But there's just no chance that he was going to get Altuve. Very fortunate for the O's that this ball kicks right back toward Davis.
Machado tried his specialty, the barehand play. Couldn't get Altuve. Now George Springer bats. Springer has struck out and fly to center. Altuve with 17 steals is the AL leader. He's been caught 3 times. Jimenez has allowed 8 stolen bases in 11 tries this year. This might be a good time to go. He's going. Ground ball goes foul.
George Springer likes that pitch in and drives it quite well. Inside the Game is brought to you by Comcast Business. To track how our team does tonight, follow CSN Houston /IGL. And you can see about George Springer, that inside pitch, he was torn up. He's just simply strong and quick. And the thing about him is he'll still take the outside pitch and leave the yard with it. I'm not sure there's a comfy zone for a pitcher, although for the moment it says throw it down the middle. So let's go ahead and challenge Ubaldo Jimenez to throw it down the middle.
I can just see that scouting report.
Rod Carew was that guy. I was playing for the Indians back in the 70s, and Frank Robinson said, I'm sick and tired of watching this guy hit about 800 on tough pitches. Throw the fastball right down the middle. And Rod Carew started flying out about 395 to center field, and so worked out for a little while.
The operative phrase, little while.
You know, on the really good ones, nothing really works long term.
Yeah.
This guy's got a chance to be one of the really good ones. Some guys will come to the big leagues and play really well, and everybody else will think, hey, he's doing a nice job. George Springer makes everybody take a look at him, whether it's batting practice or in the game. You get compelled to see what this guy can do.
Altuve starts and stops. That's strike 2.
Good changeup. And I wouldn't be surprised if teams start throwing that pitch a little bit more to George to see if they can catch that aggressiveness out in front a bit.
Tomorrow night is the 50th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and the 60th anniversary of the Brown v. Board of Education ruling by the Supreme Court. It'll be interesting to see the uniforms that these two teams wear to commemorate those times. The Astros will wear the uniform of the Houston Eagles from 1949, 1950. And even though it's not pronounced the way it appears, the Baltimore Elite Giants, the Negro Leagues, the uniform that the Orioles will be wearing. That's how it was pronounced at the time. Elite Giants, spelled as if it's elite. And those are the two unis they'll wear tomorrow night. Altuve takes off, pitch outside, Hundley's throw high, and it's an easy steal, number 18 of the year for Altuve, the AL leader.
Yeah, just eat it on that one. Jose Altuve quick from that first step. That'd be something to see him lead the league in stolen bases this year.
And in hits.
And he's already come a long ways in improving that on-base percentage.
Now 2-2 to Springer. Altuve actually leads the majors in hits now with 75. It has been a terrific month of May for him. He's hit in all 8 games he's played against Baltimore in his career.
Playing himself some hardball.
Springer strikes out. Number 6 for Jimenez. The key there was that Altuve did get to second, though.
Funny watching George. He had his struggles back here at Minute Maid Park and went on the road and just got red hot. Hopefully that comfort zone is soon found here at home.
He did explode on that trip. Dexter Fowler struck out looking, and he's grounded to first. Now an RBI opportunity and a chance to give the Astros the lead. That one hit him. And Fowler now takes his place at first. It's first and second, one out for Castro.
It never feels good, but don't mess with my legs.
No. Second time he's been drilled this year. It's hit batsman number 3 for Ubaldo Jimenez this season. Our Showalter's club in a 1-1 game. Facing Jason Castro now. He walked and scored on a wild pitch in the second and hit a fly ball to center in the third. That one almost hit him, and again Jimenez continues to pound inside on Castro.
It's got to be the book. In fact, there are nights when I question what is the opposition doing pitching away on Jason Castro, because he drives it so well that way. Now last year the point came where Jason started turning that inside pitch around with authority to right field. That's when you really cross up the opposition.
And away for ball 2. A lot of these inside pitches are at his legs, though. There's nothing he can do with hitting them. He's doing all he can do just to get out of the way of being hit. There's Dave Wallace, the pitching coach, and he was with the Astros years ago. Just one of the great baseball men. He was a longtime Dodger. Terrific pitching guru.
Back in the second inning, the guy they're talking about, Jason Castro, scores the Astros' only run of the night. Pitch gets away, and Castro hard into the plate. Very close play, could have likely gone either way, but a good jump by Jason. Yeah, that's a call that I don't think I would want to have been forced to make a call on.
Very difficult call for the umpire there, Machlinsky. Now 2-0 for Castro. After the meeting at the mound, Dominguez on deck. And moves back from that one, ball 3. Jimenez has had his bouts with wildness this year. He's now walked 31 this season in 61 innings. It's been an inconsistent start to the season for him. 4.98 ERA when this game started tonight. That's called a strike, and that makes it 3-1. Braves and Red Sox are tied at 3. They're in the bottom of the 8th inning in Boston.
3-0. Do you give Castro a green light? He's been a good run producer. Starting to feel it with the stick.
Yeah, I think so.
But that may not have been the pitch Jason wanted anyway.
Right. Yeah, on 3-0, you want to be exercising that tunnel vision in the strike zone, right?
You do, and though the pitch was out over the plate, as was the next pitch, backdoor cutter, I think because of the location down at the bottom of the knees, Castro just hasn't felt like he's seen a pitch yet to hit in this sequence.
That's a good point. Now on 3-2, Willie. Altuve and Fowler on and 1 out. Gets a little dribbler back to Jimenez. Short hop play. Gets the out at first thanks to Davis crossing over. 2 outs. Altuve to third. Fowler to second. And Matt Dominguez will have this RBI opportunity. Domingo has one of the best batting averages on the team with men in scoring position. He singled in the 2nd inning and struck out in the 4th.
Isn't this game amazing? You just start swinging the stick so well on the road trip. The May numbers offensively are great. You come back home, you're facing a pitcher who has struggled, and you wind up having a pitcher's duel.
Yeah. 293 for Matt with runners in scoring position. And that's ball 1. Four hits for the Orioles, 3 for the Astros. Baltimore has the only error in the game. It's in for a strike, and it's 1-1. Last year, Baltimore was 85 and 77, finishing 12 games out of first in the AL East. Baltimore won a couple of 1-run games at home from Houston, 4-3 and 5-4 in 10 innings. Domingo swung at a pitch that was headed to the dirt, and it's 1-2. Giants and Cardinals are tied 3-3. They're in the top of the 6th inning. Michael Morse hit his 11th home run. Pablo Sandoval, number 8. It's ball 2, and it's 2-2 to Matt Dominguez.
Ubaldo Jimenez up to 95 on that heater.
He's up to 93 pitches thrown as well. Only in the 5th inning. Got away from him, and it's a full count. Chris Carter on deck. Baltimore bullpen is without Tommy Hunter. He's on the disabled list. 4.22 pitches per batter for Ubaldo Jimenez this year. He is last among American League qualifiers in pitches per batter. Domingo strikes out, and that ends the Astros 5th. Strikeout number 7. No runs a hit. 2 men stranded through 5. It's tied at 1.
exclusive fan of the game. I'm with Mark and his son Liam over here in the Crawford boxes. They're from Hoosier City. Want to ask Dad what brings you guys out this weekend?
I've been an Astros fan since 1980, and so trying to get him into it. It's our third annual trip down to see the Astros series. We went to a Rangers game this year too, watch the Astros play. So he wants to go to every baseball stadium in America. So.
He's young enough; he'll get it all in. Liam, are you having a good time?
Yes.
And who's your favorite Astro?
Jason Castro.
He's even got on the shirt, Brownie. He's ready to go. Mark and Liam, thank you very much, Brownie.
All right, good fans. Thanks, Julia. Jason Castro ready to get down behind the dish and call this first pitch in a 1-1 game as the 6th inning begins with Steve Pearce in the batter's box. He doubled in the 4th and scored the tying run. He's 1 for 2.
I like that St. Patty's Day Astros hat. That was cool stuff.
It was. Pearce with a comebacker. Peacock takes care of it. 1 out. Peacock looking strong tonight.
There it is. Now, this side doesn't have the clovers on it. It's the left side of the hat, but that's slick.
Adam Jones. He's popped a short and grounded a short tonight.
Or as we mentioned on the road trip, that's Boss.
You did?
We came up with.
You and Blummer trotted that out again?
Things you used to say.
Yeah. Did you ever say that?
No, mine was that's righteous.
Righteous?
Yeah. Okay. What'd you used to say back in those days?
Probably cool.
Oh. Come on, Brownie. You said that's groovy, didn't you?
These things all come back around again, Ash. Just give it a few decades.
Yeah.
1-1.
That's swift.
Fowler a step toward left center here on Jones. Bouncer up the middle, and that will make it through. Jones is on with a 1-out single.
Now look at our pitch by pitch brought to you by Steel Dealers. And it takes us back to the 4th inning with Chris Davis. Curveball gets him to foul it back, and then the fastball on the hands, back to the breaking ball, tapping it foul. Quite a battle went on as Peacock missed a couple of times. Curveballs after curveball right on the hands, and then up and in with the heat. And finally the changeup puts him away. After everything else, it's the change that gets the job done.
How much will that change be in his head now from now on?
Well, he'll be aware of it, no doubt about it. But there will be times where he'll still discount the possibility of that pitch. I think that's the nature of what a change is. Until you see a pitcher who turns to that pitch as a key weapon. Brett Oberholzer might be a guy that has a change that comes in big situations. Dallas Keuchel has become a bit of that guy. You remember back Mario Soto, a great pitcher.
Yep.
With the Cincinnati Reds. You had to be aware, and you still couldn't hit it.
That's for sure. 1-1 to Davis. Davis was watching Orioles games a few days ago from the hospital room of his wife after the birth of their child.
And there's the change. So apparently Peacock and Castro recall.
Would you come back with that pitch here?
Do you go back to back? That's always the question. The changeup is the one pitch that I think you're least likely to see back to back. Sometimes pitching coaches or managers don't like that ploy. So you go back to the breaking ball. Some reason it's been accepted that you can throw multiple fastballs in a row, or you can throw multiple curveballs or slider. But the changeup, if one guy hits it in a week, for some reason pitching coaches will remember that for a month. Now, I don't know that Brent Strom's in that category. He loves the change.
That's strike 3 call.
Now, when you've thrown the changeup successfully, that fastball comes back into play. Perfectly done.
8 strikeouts for Brad. Struck out 11 2 starts ago against Texas in 6 innings. Josh Fields up in the bullpen for Houston. Now it's Cruz who knocked in the tying run with a single. And once again, the right side of the infield wide open. That's where he hit the ball in the 4th inning after lining out to short in the 2nd inning, although it was really to Altuve playing short. There's strike 1. That's the weird thing about keeping a scorebook now in this age of the shift. You would write down line drive to second, but the second baseman wasn't playing second.
Yeah, you've got to find a way in your scorebook to account for that. I've got my own personal way, but
how do you do it?
Well, I'll throw a square around it, for example. If you've got the line drive 4, I'll throw a square around that says it was with a shift on, the shift moved into it. Now, what I haven't done is mark base hits that otherwise would have been hits, or otherwise would have been outs.
Okay.
Yeah, be interesting some season to go back and kind of evaluate that in totality.
This is just creating all kinds of havoc in the scorekeeping department for people.
Yeah, you see ground ball to shortstop and you have a mental image of what it means, but it's not necessarily the case.
We need to do something about this, Ash.
Got to take care of this business.
That's in for a hit to left center field. Cruz keeps on cranking out the hits, and now it's first to third with Jones coming around. And with 2 outs, J.J. Hardy gets an at bat.
Thing about the way Nelson Cruz has been swinging the bat, when you hold him to anything other than a home run, you have to feel somewhat successful. Just another measly single. Robbie Grossman unable to get to this ball quickly enough to cause Jones to hang at second. Of course, with 2 outs, it's always difficult to hold a guy to 90 feet.
Now it's Hardy who has struck out both times tonight. Diamondbacks lead the Reds 1-0 there in the bottom of the 2nd inning in Arizona. Rangers beat the Twins this afternoon 5-4 in Minnesota.
Did you notice that as soon as Prince Fielder went on the DL, the Rangers suddenly scored 9 runs? I think it was a couple of times. Certainly big numbers.
Crazy. Josh Fields warming up. Ron Washington quietly is doing just an outstanding job of managing with his club 2 games over 500, but just hit really hard by injuries.
Yeah, the job for a club that has those kinds of injuries is to hang in there, stay close for a good part of the marathon that goes on, and then find a way to get healthy at the end or at some point and make a charge.
Now 2-0 to Hardy. And he got a pitch to drive, but couldn't do much with it, but fouled it back. 2 balls and a strike. Hardy, one of the top defensive shortstops in baseball, and with the power. 25 homers last year. 158 in his career. He can help in many ways.
Yeah, in recent years, I think he's qualified as easily one of the truly valuable shortstops in the game.
Lays off there, and it's a 3-ball 1-strike count with Machado on deck.
Used to be the big 3 of shortstops. And now you kind of have to look around to find the guys that have power. But for those who don't follow Orioles baseball, J.J. Hardy's been one of those guys.
Well, he's had 5 seasons with 20 homers or more. John Russell is the bench coach for Buck Showalter. Jim Presley, the hitting coach, closer to the camera there.
John Russell, former catcher and former major league manager.
managed the Pirates. He caught one of Nolan Ryan's no-hitters, right?
Get that group together. It's 7 different catchers.
You guys ever have reunions?
We have not had a reunion, but they've had an autograph signing for Nolan and his no-hitters, and they brought the catchers in. And intriguing. You see 7 different catchers, and it is rather amazing.
What do they call you guys? The 7 magnificent men? Or 7 what?
The fortunate 7 to have played with Nolan Ryan.
Okay. 7 guys with broken hands.
Well, Ruth would be on that list. She did some catching of Nolan, allegedly.
3-2 pitch, chopped to the left side. VR gets a 2-hopper, takes his time and unloads to take care of the top of the 6th inning with no runs, 2 hits. Brad Peacock hanging right in. It's tied at 1.
Here, bottom of the 6th. This season at Minute Maid Park, every Friday night home game is followed by spectacular fireworks presented by Marathon Oil Corporation. And the next Friday night fireworks is this Friday against the Orioles. Get tickets at 1-877-9-ASTROS or astros.com. Friday.
We're on the horns of a dilemma for tomorrow night, though, Julia, because we've already received news that the roof is going to be closed tomorrow night.
Oh, the rain.
The rain. Here's the deal, Julia. While you were gone, the rain moved through. It rained buckets, torrential rains. Chris Carter, the batter. Then it moved out. It moved up to Arkansas. Now it's coming back. Kind of like a backup slider, it will be moving into this area again.
Is it the same storm coming back this way?
Yeah, same one. Just won't go away. No balls, 2 strikes.
Backup slider, huh? Well, that's the pitch that, well, that can tie you up sometimes. Other times you can hit it for a home run.
It'll be coming right into our wheelhouse tomorrow. Carter 0 for 2. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Tomorrow, a very special day with that luncheon. In the ball game tomorrow night, we'll have a lot of dignitaries. Commissioner Bud Selig is in town.
You going to grill him?
No. I would like to see him, though. Carter's down on strikes. That's number 8 for Jimenez.
Yeah, so we talked about laying off that pitch earlier for Carter, and he did so. But at some point, if you don't see it perfectly, that bat'll start.
Alex Presley has walked both times tonight. Commissioner Selig is meeting informally with Astros employees tomorrow afternoon in a town hall meeting. And people are allowed to ask anything they want. There's strike one. It's a nice gesture.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, he's in his final year as commissioner, and he says, no, this time it is the final year.
Yeah, for me, it would be. Well, I don't need to say what can we do to speed the game up. Are we going to do what's required to speed the game up? Maybe. I think it's. I think it's crucial with so many of the young would-be fans.
.101 pitches for Ubaldo. In the dirt for a ball. It's 1-2 to Presley.
Starting to turn to that change or splitter a little more often.
Well, this qualifies as one of his top starts of the year. He's allowed just 3 hits. 2 singles and an Altuve double. Altuve has 2 of the 3 hits. Presley with a foul ball hanging alive at 1-2 with Robbie Grossman on deck. The Astros bullpen is stirring as well as the Orioles. Oh, it's a good battle tonight. Fields has been throwing for some time now. Looks as if he may get the 7th inning. The way he's heating it up now.
Well, if the night ends here for Brad Peacock, I think you'd have to say he's done himself very proud and done the right things to stay in this rotation.
Absolutely. 2-2. Brett Oberholzer goes tomorrow night against Miguel Gonzalez at 7:10. We don't know when the Bull Porter decision will be made about which 5 starting pitchers are remaining in the rotation. No timetable has been given yet for that. In the air, and the third baseman Machado looks out to the left fielder. It's caught by Pierce. 2 outs. And Grossman bats.
Here's tomorrow's pitching matchup brought to you by Chevron. Care for your car. Miguel Gonzalez goes 3-3 for the O's, and Brett Oberholzer 1-6. Now making his 2nd start since returning to the ball club. He had a good one in Seattle and would love to repeat that. Oh, nice pitching matchup here at Minute Maid Park.
Bobby Grossman is the batter. Swings in at strike 1. Oberholzer shut out Baltimore in 7 innings for his win earlier this year at Baltimore. And Gonzalez pitched well against the Astros. Got a no decision. 7 innings, 2 runs allowed. So both guys have success against the clubs they'll be facing tomorrow night. No balls, 2 strikes. With VR on deck. 1-2. The Tigers won at Oakland today, 5-4. With Porcello going to 8-2. Beat Jesse Chavez. And so Nathan got his 13th save after losing last night in the bottom of the 9th on a 3-run homer by Josh Donaldson. Still 1-2 with Preston Guillemette warming up in the bullpen for Baltimore. Tigers and the Athletics, they've met in the playoffs the last 2 years, with Detroit winning both times.
These are 2 good clubs.
Might be meeting again this year, Ash. They are good clubs.
On paper, I love the Tigers. On the field, the Oakland A's are hard not to love.
Now Hundley will go to the mound. 109 pitches for Jimenez so far. He's thrown 118. That was when he shut out the Twins for 7 1/3, May 2nd. Then in his next start, he threw 117. He bounces the curve, and it's 2-2 to Robbie Grossman. Angels and Mariners are underway, and the Angels have a run in the top of the first inning. Grossman looks at that one, and he's worked the count back to a full count. Robbie's been known for a terrific on-base average through the minor leagues. He's taken a lot of walks. This fly ball, foul, brings Machado over to end it. It's a 1-2-3 6th inning, and it's tied 1-1.
Question about it, and I thought he got sharper and sharper as the night wore on. He had command of the breaking ball throughout, whether it be the curve or the smaller slider. Changeup became a part of things. His fastball started to spot more and more down to the knees. And when you look at the overall 8 strikeouts through 6 innings, that just simply says the guy had good and dominating at times stuff. And that's our AT&T rewind here in the 7th.
Now Josh Fields will come in to pitch. Fields has been back for 6 outings from AAA, and he's lowered his ERA to 8 with scoreless baseball, 6 scoreless innings since his recall. He faces Machado and throws him a fastball, strike 1. Peacock threw 93 pitches in 6 innings. He allowed 6 hits, 1 run. He did not walk anybody for the first time this year in a start, and struck out 8. Well, that's 0 walks. It was a very important number for Brad Peacock. 1 ball, 1 strike. He had walked 30 in 45 innings when he took the mound tonight.
Yeah, that's one of the things we said at the top of the game. Command of the strike zone and staying away from the walks. Big keys for Brad, and he really played it out well.
Line drive, Springer in right. He got off the mark very well.
May I say that on the road trip, that 6-4 road trip the Astros just come off of, George Springer made a couple of defensive plays that were just stellar. Now this play looks semi-routine, but it's routine because of the instinct with the jump and the speed that he possesses.
That's a hit to deny that may be very significant. Machado hit the ball hard. Now Flaherty. Flaherty's 0 for 2. Fly ball to center and a strikeout. Now Machado barreled that ball pretty well. This one to shallow left field, could dunk in. VR going for it. VR diving, can't make the catch. It's a looping single for Flaherty.
Well, hand it to VR right here. He doesn't get to the ball, but he gave everything he had, and that's one of those plays where you see the vicious collisions between infielder and outfielder. VR sold out on the play. And maybe he just simply sized it up that there was no way that his left fielder was going to get there. That's everything you've got.
He did go flying through the air. A single for Flaherty and an out for Machado. And now it's Nick Hundley. Hundley singled to left center in the 5th. He's 1 for 2. 7 hits now for the Orioles. 6 have been singles. Pierce had the double, and he scored the run in the 4th on a Cruz hit. Curveball works for strike 1 for Josh Fields. Fields leads the club in appearances with 20. He came up when Anthony Bass went on the DL. Foul tip makes it 0-2. Bass is not with the big league club right now. Jesse Crane is here for this homestand. Matt Albert's not here as well. All those guys are on the disabled list. Some go to Florida for rehabbing, and some get brought in for evaluation right here with the big league club. Fields is 28 years old, from Hull, Georgia. He was the closer for the Georgia Bulldogs. Set an SEC record at the time with 41 saves. First round pick of Seattle. A swing and a miss, and Hundley strikes out.
Well, he's got closer stuff here in the big leagues. And he's had his ups and he's had his downs, and the downs have been a little bit painful and bounced him out of that closer's role. But you can't question his stuff.
Nick Markakis opened the game with a single to center. He's 1 for 3. Markakis was born in Glen Cove, New York. Earlier this year, he put together an 18-game hitting streak. That's the longest in the American League so far. Ground ball, Altuve to his right. There's the toss to VR. Well, the force play to end the top of the 7th inning. No runs, a hit, and a man stranded. 2nd inning stretch time, 1-1.
Springer is on such a tear. Where do you think he'll finish in this American League Rookie of the Year race? Got a bunch of tweets about it. Here are some of the best. Colt 45's tweets that Springer is absolutely in the American League Rookie of the Year race. He's a huge talent, all-out effort, work ethic, and he has joy in the game. Hashtag results get attention. How about Kenny GP3? He tweets George Springer will end up 2nd in the Rookie of the Year voting because he will lead all rookies in home runs and RBI, which is bold because Jose Abreu is doing really well this year. Tanaka, he tweets, for New York will win. Thank you very much for tweeting me at Ho-Chen CSN. Don't forget to check out In-Game Live and vote for your player of the game at csnhouston.com. Guys?
Thanks, Howard. 7th inning stretch time. It's a 1-1 tie. There's George Springer. He'll be due up third in the inning. Ubaldo Jimenez checks out of the game after 6 innings of work tonight, giving way to Preston Guillemette. Guillemette in 5 games with the Orioles has an ERA of 0. Look at that whip, Ash, 0.17.
Well, the goal is to be the first club to score off of him then. And the guy's going to give it up at some point. It might as well be us that provide it. Speaking as if I had a bat.
Grab a bat.
Sometimes that's the greatest desire when you see a guy throw.
Jimenez threw very well. 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run. He walked 3, hit a batter, and fanned 8. It's Jonathan Villar taking the breaking pitch. So strike 1 from Guillemette. Villar is 0 for 2. And 4 men have been left on base when he has made the 3rd out of innings twice in the 2nd and 4th. So he'll try leading off the frame. And that's an 84-mile-per-hour pitch after an 83. 0-2 as the off-speed stuff comes right out of Guillemotte's arm. He's from Roseville, California, a 9th-round pick in 09 by Cleveland. And then showing bunt, Villar pulls it back, and it's a 1-ball, 2-strike count.
Let's see where this guy would be deceptive. The glove from the left hand goes straight up in the air, and then he comes right over the top. There's a lot going on there.
He pitched at the University of Arizona. And the fastball works at 91 for a strikeout. That's the 9th for Oriole pitching.
Jonathan Villar has simply lost that love and feeling with the bat. It's going to come back at some point. You hope sooner rather than later.
So do you take the bat out to a nice expensive dinner?
Sometimes. I'll tell you what, you better try something. And if you can't spend on a nice meal for your bat, then apparently you don't care enough.
Reservations for 2 at a 5-star restaurant. Jose Altuve with ball 1. He's 2 for 3 tonight.
Men in white jackets show up shortly thereafter.
Pull out the chair for your bat. 22,884 the paid attendance. Altuve looks at a high one, and it's 2 balls, no strikes. Guillemette has been a closer in the minors for the Kinston Indians in 2011. He had 35 saves. Went to Baltimore to trade this April. It's like the off-speed stuff is certainly a staple for him, and it's 2-1. He is pitching these guys backwards, Ash.
Somehow you got to find a way to not see the glove flying and just pick it up. Jose Altuve's figured it out.
He's hitting everybody and everything. 3 hits again tonight. He leads the American League in 3-hit games.
They say it doesn't matter if you're big or small in this game. Anybody can do it if you can play well. We'll take a look at that shot. I guess that proves that one. And Altuve has a foot on the bag.
76 hits in 55 games for Altuve. He's on a Craig Biggio hit pace. George Springer's 0 for 3. Now, how will it work to get Altuve to 3rd or at least to 2nd? With 1 out, he attracts a throw.
Well, with 1 out, I think that running game potentially comes into play a bit more. However, with Springer at the plate, I don't know if that applies.
He got hit by that throw. That'll put a crimp in the running game sometimes when a base runner gets drilled in the ribs by a pickoff throw. Not even Glenn Davis has had a bigger home run month as a rookie.
The big bopper, you say?
Glenn told a great story about you guys, Ash.
Yeah?
When he first came up, he was swinging at just about everything, and some of his teammates told him he needed to take more pitches.
And he said,
so I did. And then Al Rosen, the general manager, was on the road trip, and we were in San Diego, and I got word before the game that I was to meet with Mr. Rosen in the San Diego Chargers locker room for a private meeting. So I went in, and he said, I don't want you taking pitches.
Brought you up here to swing the bat, huh?
I brought you up here to swing the bat, and if you don't do it, you're going back down to AAA.
So did Glenn listen well?
He started swinging the bat.
How'd that work out?
You saw the numbers.
Yeah, and he was the big bopper for that reason.
In the dirt, good pickup by Hundley, and that keeps the double play possibility in existence. It's 2-1.
And that fastball in the dirt, it's all about the glove. On the breaking balls, get the glove out of play and see if you can use the chest protector. Hundley pretty intent on somebody in the dugout.
2-2. Springer really let it fly.
What is it about this ballpark that swing and a miss comes into play for George Springer? And I will say on the back half of the road trip, he was not missing balls.
Another throw over on Altuve. See what Springer's hitting at home. .238. 1 homer, 9 runs batted in. Altuve takes off. There's a bouncing throw, and he's in there with another steal. Number 2 of the night, number 19 of the year. And the count goes to 3-2.
I think that stolen base is as much about the quickness as pure speed. You'll find some guys that will outrun Altuve, no doubt, but he's in full gear in one stride.
Flaherty back over to keep that ball from going into the outfield. It was a hurried throw by Hundley. And now a 3-2 count after the Altuve stolen base. Astros had 7 steals against Baltimore. This is their 4th game against the Birds. .238 home average for George with 1 homer. Maybe 2. This is a line drive. That is 2. George Springer gives the Astros a 3-1 lead. That's his 10th home run in May.
Wow. You know, you're left at times with not a whole lot more than wow when you look at certain players and what they can do. He catches that breaking ball. It's just enough to get it out. And I mean, this guy is truly exciting for everybody.
There is a buzz not only in the stadium but all around Houston Astros fan territory.
See how he stays on that breaking ball down around the knees? He just kind of gave with the lower body. But he's so strong, even when he doesn't crush a ball, it's got a chance to get out.
Springer now with 10 homers has 29 runs batted in.
So the fans that come out to Minute Maid Park tonight get a treat with George Springer. And why not?
7 homers in 7 games. Now Fowler to right center field. Markakis with the catch. 2 outs. This Altuve-Springer combination has been lethal. Springer now takes his hitting streak to 11 games. He had been 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts and a fly ball to center, but that 4th at bat was devastating to the Orioles.
Yeah, imagine what that feels like to an opposition club. You feel like you got him under wraps for a given night, and then one swing gets you.
Inside for a ball. And Jason Castro has a 1-0 count with Flaherty out in right field. Baltimore's bullpen has 9 wins and 6 losses, 8 blown saves. There's the off-speed pitch. That takes it to a 1-1 count.
There are some really amazing, what you have to call rookies in the American League this year. But when it's all said and done, I think he's gonna get some run.
grounded, and there's Davis knocking it down. Can he make the play? Tosses underhand, not in time. Castro is able to beat that underhanded toss from Davis to the pitcher Gilmet covering. He knocked it down, but then continued on to foul territory, and the ball was left behind in fair territory.
A good hustle by Jason. Be able to reach on this play. A little bit of zip on that toss right there. Might have been a different story. Castro hit that ball pretty well.
He did. Like it came up off the wrist there of Davis. It's a hit for Castro. 5-game hitting streak for Jason. Now a wild pitch will get him to second base with Dominguez batting. And the Astros trying to get some more runs, up by 2. Going back to that Castro grounder, apparently there was an error on that one. So the error went to Davis. That was his first of the year. It broke a string of 44 errorless games for him.
I thought I heard it the way you announced it initially.
Yeah, and you know, the ball came up on him a little bit, didn't it? Hit him in the wrist.
Yeah, it's one of those that I'd hate to have to rule on, and there are a lot of those for scorekeepers. That's a tough job.
Fly ball out to center field. Adam Jones waiting to win the Astros 7th inning. Altuve single. Altuve stole a base. The count was 3-2. George Springer ripped number 10, and it's 3-1 Houston. The 7th inning. This moment in history is presented by M.D. Anderson. It's May 29th, 1996. Jeff Bagwell becomes the second player other than Willie Stargell to reach the upper deck at Three Rivers Stadium more than once with a blast off former Astro Danny Darwin in a 7-4 win over the Pirates. Dr. Death gave it up. And Bagwell has a statue outside the stadium. Do we have another Bagwell on our hands in George Springer? Do we have? Who do we have?
Yeah, you don't know yet, but one thing you do know is you've got enough talent and tools together to be that guy. I mean, that's all I can say. It's been a little challenging to kind of hold it down in watching what George Springer does.
Jesus Guzman checks in at first base for Chris Carter. Carter 0 for 3 tonight. 3-1 lead for the Astros. Steve Pearce has a double and a run scored. Infield shifted around, playing him to pull. Josh Fields gets a grounder to BR. That's 4 outs for Josh since he entered in the 7th inning.
Bring the whole family out every Sunday home game at Minute Maid Park this season for Family Sundays presented by Kroger. Make sure to take advantage of the Kroger Family 4-pack of tickets for only $70 this Sunday as well. For tickets, call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit Astros.com.
One out now, and it's Adam Jones. Jones is 1 for 3. A single to center in the 6th inning. He advanced as far as third base. Orioles about hit the Astros 7-5. Baltimore has made 2 errors tonight. Another breaker comes in for Josh. There's strike 1. Now this whole city is getting energized now with the way Springer has been playing, the way Dallas Keuchel has been pitching, Altuve's season. No balls, 2 strikes. School will be out here soon. There is Ryan Webb warming up in the Baltimore bullpen. The Astros 13-13 in the month of May. They've won 10 of 15. More talk about baseball on the talk shows. Just more attention being devoted to the Astros, period, in the media with the way they've been playing.
Any talk would have been more than what it was there for a while. And so it is really exciting now to bring this act back into town and to feel the buzz that's starting to get created. That guy is doing it.
Well,
and others, as you say. But I'll tell you what, he's done a mammoth job by taking this team on his back a bit, I feel like, and changing things.
Yeah, it's just a daily soap opera. And the way Altuve has played, he has been absolutely magnificent. The Bo Porter's team has put a lot of elements together. Certainly George Springer deserving of all the attention he gets, but the team has performed so much better. 1 and 2, you combine Springer's accomplishments as a rookie with what the team is doing, and that really leads to that feeling of people wanting to see on a nightly basis what's going on with this club.
You're getting a glance around at some of the talented players. No doubt about it. I thought a guy that came up last year that created some of that excitement because, not just because of what he did, but because of his tools, was Jonathan Villar. Now, he's had a struggle going on this year, but that got inserted to the club, and I thought it was rather unique in terms of what he brought. You start adding to these guys who are getting better as major leaguers, and now you see George Springer and the pitching staff coming along. Boy, it's a dynamic step forward being taken.
In baseball, and you can think back to a lot of the rookies of the year. You remember when they first come up, if they light it up the way George Springer has here in the month of May, it's just very captivating for the fans. They don't know all that much usually about the player in the beginning. They want to find out more. They want to see more. Whether it's a Johnny Bench or a Wally Joyner or whoever it might be, it becomes a story of, well, wonder how he's going to do long haul. Wonder what he's going to do tomorrow night against such and such a pitcher. And that's really the fun of following this sport.
We'll know more in a couple of years, I think. That's kind of what it comes down to, though, isn't it?
It is. It is.
But here's the reality for me about George Springer's. When he hit the scene, he struggled, and it was ugly at times. But when you watched what he could do in batting practice in the early game stuff, you had to marvel and wonder, will that stuff ever come to fruition in terms of what he does on the field? Well, it's getting there.
Josh Fields having a nice outing so far. That's his 2nd strikeout. And the bullpen has really been a major contributor with a 1.31 ERA for the last 15 Houston games. Now the shift is on for Davis. Chris 0 for 3 tonight with 2 strikeouts. And so this bullpen is also a story to watch with the different pitchers now, with injuries giving other guys opportunities to move in. Josh Fields getting one of those as he's returned from AAA. And there's ball 1, and the magnificence of Tony Sipp so far has been the story to follow. Fields getting the 7th and 8th inning so far. If he can do this 2-inning job, he could be rewarded with a win. 1 ball, 1 strike. Chad Qualls is now throwing in the Houston bullpen.
You know what? It's not a bad life either when you're the closer and you actually start getting some chances to close out games and pick up saves.
There's some heat, and it's 1-2.
Rather than coming in because you haven't pitched in 5 days.
Yeah. Josh dialed that fastball up to the mid-90s, and he's at 20 pitches. Peacock through 93. And a strikeout for Fields gives him 6 outs in this game. 3 strikeouts along the way. 3-1 Houston. Mobilizing your world. The Hall of Fame plaque of Texas native Frank Robinson, one of the great players in Major League Baseball history. It's 3-1, and of course an MVP for the Orioles, and traded at the age of 30 by the Cincinnati Reds to Baltimore. He made the Reds regret that move, but they said at the time he was an old 30.
Well, I saw him a few years later. He became the manager of the Indians while I was playing there, and age might have said he was old, but he could still swing it. And one of the most intense players you'll ever have come across if you had that privilege.
Now it's Ryan Webb coming out of the bullpen for Baltimore. In 23 games, he's 2-1 with an ERA of 3.27. Big right-hander will face Guzman, Presley, and Grossman due up in the bottom of the 8th.
If, as they say, consistency is the key, he's done quite well. Opposition hitting 241, lefties 240, and righties 241. So I'd say that's pretty consistent.
He's retired the first batter in 19 of his 23 outings. That plays well. And Guzman, who went into play some first base for Chris Carter, now gets an at-bat here with the Astros up 3-1 in the 8th. Jesus hitting 206. He has 2 homers, 4 runs batted in 97 at-bats. Right off the plate and hit his foot as well. So a double carom shot for strike 1. Ryan Webb's 28 years old. He's from Clearwater, Florida. He got the win in the 10-inning Baltimore 5-4 victory over Houston in Baltimore May 10th. And then with the score tied 4-4 in the 10th. Worked a scoreless inning, giving up a hit to Matt Dominguez.
Have you had the privilege, Brownie, of going and doing a game against the Phillies in spring training in their ballpark right there in Clearwater? That's a great place.
It is. In fact, University of Houston played its conference championship game in that ballpark against Louisville over the weekend. 1-2.
Yeah, it's a great sight, and during the summer with all the backfields they have, of course, spring training it pays off for Philadelphia. But one of the great new sights in baseball.
I know you love that drive over there too, Ash.
Oh, not from a present location. Used to be there, right down the street there, and I loved being able to. Now I can't even think of the.
When you were at Dunedin base?
Yeah, Dunedin. Yes.
Well,
beautiful downtown Dunedin.
You could be the East Coast correspondent and stay in Dunedin, and then somebody else, or the West Coast correspondent rather. Somebody else could be the East Coast correspondent.
Could make that work. Yeah.
We come up with all these money spending ideas, don't we? Inside for a ball.
Oh, we're trying to cut down the cost of spending by putting correspondents in various locations.
Ubaldo Jimenez threw 112 pitches tonight. 65 were strikes in his 6 innings, giving up 3 hits and a run, walking 3 and fanning 8. And that one's ball 4. Leadoff walk for Guzman here in the home 8th inning. 4th walk for Oriole pitchers tonight. So Webb this time does not retire the first man he faces. Moves along to Alex Presley. Presley has walked twice and flied to left. Preston Gilmetta in 1 inning gave up 2 hits, 2 runs with no walks, 1 strikeout. Gave up the 2-run homer to George Springer. Right now he's on the hook for this one. The Orioles will have Cruz, Harding, and Machado due up in the 9th. Showalter managing against Bo Porter in game 1 of a 4-game series. Runner going. High chop goes foul.
Fair to call. Excuse me. Fair to call that a Baltimore chop?
It was a Baltimore chop. Very high. Back at that time, Willie Keeler and those guys that used to just beat down on the ball, trying to do exactly that, because the ground was so hard there in Baltimore. We haven't seen that for a while. A few decades, Ash, that hitting approach.
No AstroTurf involved.
Runner going again. Ground ball again. This one fielded by the second sacker, and he got him. Flaherty. And the shortstop, Hardy, crossed in front of him. That made it a much more difficult play. Bo Porter's coming over after this out call on Presley for out number 1.
You know, we've talked about Jose Altuve and how quickly he's been getting down the line this year. Alex Presley is another guy that's creating these bang-bang plays at first base. Let's see what we can determine here. Wow, that's close.
Bo's not challenging the call.
Now here you are in the 8th inning. It's the umpire's duty to make that determination, is it not?
Yeah. Bobby Grossman bats now. He's 0 for 3.
Yeah, I feel for Alex because he's been involved in a number of these bang, bang, and he keeps getting called out on the play.
Yeah, you just see the look on Bo's face. He wanted to stand up for his player, Presley, on that call, and looked as if he did barely beat that throw. Foul back by Grossman, and it's a 1-1 count.
Of course, you always have to ask yourself, for those that send out the word from the dugout, can it be reversed? Is there enough indication here that would reverse the call?
Well, the umpires can choose to review it on their own, so about all a manager can do after the 6th inning is try to plead with them to do that.
But, so on a play that close, why would the umpires not choose to review that?
That's a fair question. 2 balls and a strike. Well, have you read Doug Harvey's book yet? It just came out.
And the rest of the story?
They called.
That's Paul Harvey.
The title of the book on Doug Harvey is "They Called Me God," which was his nickname. And he said he did not like the idea of replay.
Well, of course not, from that generation.
Well, he said he never got a call wrong.
Of course not.
So I think that's the mentality we're talking about. Bouncer second. Flaherty. On over to Davis. 2 down. Guzman to third.
Yeah, I think of The stare that Jerry Crawford would give people with his head cocked, hands on the hips. That said exactly that, didn't it? I mean, are you aware of who I am? You know I didn't get it wrong.
That looks good, Ash. So I could go for it.
Even with the roof closed, I think I would accept one of those.
Jonathan Villar's 0 for 3. We need to go down and get one of those tomorrow night.
Air conditioning is a beautiful thing, by the way.
A time called. Well, Villar's had a rough night tonight. Now 0 for his last 24. The dirt, ball 1.
Yeah, if I were advising VR, which I'm not even close to being in a position to do, probably say, you remember those slash shots to left field while batting left-handed? Not a bad ploy.
The Royals came back to beat the Blue Jays in 10 in Toronto, 8-6. And the Jays streak. Bouncer left side. Backhanded Hardy and out at first. That ends the 8th inning. No runs, no hits, and a man stranded. We move to the 9th, 3-1 Houston. These fans, it's 3-1. The Astros lead it, and Chad Qualls would like to keep it very quiet from the Baltimore side, and he elicit those cheers from the Astros fans as we go to the 9th inning here.
Chad Qualls has become that closer for the ball club, and at the age of 35, now in his 19th game on the year. Nice ERA at 2.93. Despite the fact that he's allowed a few more hits than innings pitched on the season, he's kept the ball in the ballpark, just 1 home run, and he's also stayed away from the walks, only 3 issued to this point while striking out 18.
Excellent numbers for Chad Qualls. This is a safe situation. He's 3 for 4 in those. Last time he pitched at Kansas City with the 3-0 lead Tuesday night, it was Tony Sipp who came in the 8th, and he got a 1-2-3 8th and got the first batter in the 9th, lefty hitting Hosmer. Then Qualls came in, and that took the save away from Chad Qualls, so to speak. And now here's Nelson Cruz, who's 2 for 3 with an RBI. There's strike 1, but Cole Porter wanting to keep lefty on lefty as Sipp got Hosmer for the first out in the 8th inning, then leading by 3. He went to Qualls, so the save would have been in effect had Qualls started the inning.
A rather tough customer to start your 9th inning against.
Altuve back to his left, and he gets Cruz. This time Cruz not hitting the ball harder through the right side as he did in the 4th inning. Had 2 big loops in it. Now Altuve is chuckling, came over to make the play.
Had the glove. turn with the backside of the hand downward on a ball that was probably up in the upper chest area, and I think that's probably what he's getting ribbed about.
J.J. Hardy's 0 for 3 tonight. Josh Fields with 2 innings of work. Gave up 1 hit, no runs, had no walks, 3 strikeouts. Excellent setup work with the 2 innings setup for Fields. Don't see a whole lot of that these days. A lot of 1 inning relief specialists in baseball right now. There's ball 1. The Astros trying to stretch their win streak to 6. In for a strike for Qualls. 1-1.
Chad Qualls can get about as much movement on that 2-seam fastball as anybody you'll find in the game. At times, it just looks excessive.
One and 2.
And then there's Uncle Charlie.
Yeah.
Probably the slider there from Chad.
A strikeout of Hardy. 2 outs. 12 strikeouts for Astros pitchers tonight. Fans have loved the show.
How do you win on a night where the bats are rather quiet? You do it when you get a big swing or 2. And that Springer 2-run home run was certainly that swing.
Bo Porter's club leading 3-1 faces Manny Machado. Machado's 0 for 3. Fans with this team really catching on now are standing. And it's ball 1. We are to end it. 6 straight wins for the Astros. They take this one 3-1. Josh Fields coming in with 2 excellent innings, and then Chad Qualls puts up another 0 as the Baltimore Orioles are held to 1 run on 7 hits. Fields gets the win. Gilmet the loser. Qualls save number 4. Springer the big 2-run homer in the 7th inning to snap the 1-1 tie. And the Astros now continue their excellent play. Recently, they've won 11 of their last 16 now. Final score, Houston 3, Baltimore 1. We'll be right back.